Hi, I'm Chappell, and today I'm going to talk to you about drug testing in natural bodybuilding. So, a previous video I made talked about some of the contentious issues just now around natural bodybuilding and the use of substances which are in direct violation of the WADA prohibited list. But today I'm going to focus on the testosterone to epitestosterone ratio and why we should try and focus on using the updated WADA recommendation since 2009 of a 4:1 ratio in natural bodybuilding as opposed to the 6:1 ratio that is currently employed by several of the large bodybuilding organisations around the world. So we all know what testosterone is, but a lot of us are unsure about epitestosterone. Now, I don't want to get into too much detail about this, but testosterone and epitestosterone are produced in roughly equal amounts within the testes, and it can be used as a marker for exogenous testosterone injections. So we roughly produce the same amount of testosterone as epitestosterone, and you get what is called a 1:1 ratio. So right now there are currently only a few organisations within the world that use a 4:1 test ratio, and that is the BMBF within the UK, the MPA in the UK. You also have over in the States the DFAC, the PMBA, and you also have a new federation called the IPL, whereas all the other organisations out there, they're currently using the old 6:1 ratio. So you might be asking, well, why are they using the 6:1 ratio? Well, in my opinion, the reason they're using the 6:1 ratio is simply down to cost. So a lot of these other lab organisations that I've mentioned use labs known as Quest, and I think it's Greenwood or Redwood labs. Anyway, these are the sort of labs that would just do the sort of standard drug testing that you might get at your work. So if they wanted to just test if people at your work were using recreational drugs like dope or cocaine or whatever like that, then you get a standard drug test, you send it off to a lab, and they screen for these sort of compounds, and along with that they can also do testosterone to epitestosterone ratios, and that's set at a 6:1 ratio. So these aren't actually WADA accredited labs that these other organisations are using, and because they're not WADA accredited, they don't use the 4:1 ratio. Now, the WADA accredited labs can use the 4:1 ratio because should a finding come up that is higher than the 4:1 ratio, they can go on and they can do further tests. So what you have to realise is that if you have a finding of testosterone 4 times greater than epitestosterone, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a fail, it just means you've got a higher ratio, and at that point they then go on and do some further testing, and you do something called a IRMS test, which is a isotope ratio mass spec test, which I'm not going to go into, but it allows you to test if there are exogenous source of testosterone, so if someone's injected or ingested or put a patch on or whatever to increase their testosterone to epitestosterone ratios. So the reasons why WADA revised the list down from a 6:1 to a 4:1 is because a lot of research has been done since the original WADA list came up around about 2004, and has since shown that actually chances of you having a ratio higher than 4:1 is very, very rare, and it's more likely that you're probably injecting testosterone than having a higher ratio than 4:1. So just an example of this sort of thing is, this is just a study that I pulled done on 2,000 Caucasian men and 1,000 Caucasian women athletes, I should add, and they done testosterone testing, looked at some other metabolites as well, but in 2,000 males, what they found was that 97.5% of athletes had a testosterone to epitestosterone ratio of less than 4.33 to 1. And actually, 99.99% of athletes had a TE ratio of less than 5.6 to 1. So no one in these 2,000 athletes actually had a TE ratio of higher than 6 to 1. And just remember that that 6 to 1 ratio is currently what a lot of these other bodybuilding organisations will employ just now, rather than the 4 to 1 ratio, even though chances of that occurring naturally are rare. So obviously if you have a higher than 6 to 1 ratio, then you're taking something. But it's not likely to occur naturally. With females, 99.9% of athletes within this cohort didn't even reach that 6 to 1 threshold. In fact, and the 99% of athletes were actually below 3.5 to 1. So no one in the female populations even went as high as 4 to 1. So that means that there's actually a little bit of margin for error there, whereby the current drug testing policies being employed at these non-WADA accredited labs means that you could potentially take a banned substance that would increase your natural testosterone ratio to just under 6 times the amount of testosterone that a natural athlete would have normally occurring within their body, but still be able to sail under this 6 to 1 ratio. And because no exogenous testing is done, so no IRMS test is present, then athletes can potentially get away with cheating the system, if you like. Now, you might be thinking to yourself that, well, people that are liable to get tested could probably just have a higher TE ratio naturally than people that perhaps are finishing bottom of the pack, because they only tend to drug test the winners anyway. But actually, it's not really the case. And I know from research that the BNBF have been carrying out, looking into things like athlete profiles and things that the DFAC have been doing, that it's completely variable. So just because you are winning the contests doesn't mean that you've got a higher naturally occurring TE ratio than someone that says finishing 4th or 5th. It's just not the case, and what we see is it's a random fluctuating TE ratios just across the board. So one other thing I'd like to say is that what you have to realise is that the bodybuilding organisations are not the ones that actually carry out the testing. So whenever an athlete has to do a drug test, it's the athlete that always provides a sample. They're the ones that pee in the cup, they're the ones that fill in the paperwork, and there should always be paperwork, mind you. If there's not paperwork, then it's probably not a drug test. They're also the ones that should seal their samples, their A and B samples, and at that point the samples are then sent off to the labs. So if there are any drug test failures or anything like that, it's the lab that's actually producing the failure, not the federation. So the federation just interprets the results from the lab. The federation just gets back the findings of a pass or a fail. They're not the ones that actually carry out the drug testing, so it's not the federation's fault, and it's the athlete that provides the sample. And if there is failure, it's then down to the athlete, if the athlete wants to get their B sample tested, or if the athlete wants to go ahead and get further testing carried out by use of things like an IRMS test at that stage. Now, being an actual athlete myself, I know that if I produced an atypical finding, so a higher than a 4 to 1 ratio, then I would certainly be willing to go ahead with a B sample or an IRMS test. However, I know for a fact that in the past few years there have been several drug test failures within the BNBF, and athletes have decided not to get their B samples tested or go for further testing. And at that point, I think you can read into that in any which way you want as to why someone would not want to proceed with a B sample or further testing. So I think that's just about everything I want to say. That currently 4 to 1 ratios are the gold standard by WADA. Several organisations use a 6:1 ratio. They use the 6:1 ratio because they don't work with WADA labs, they don't have the facilities to do further testing, and that because they use a slightly higher ratio, the chance of there being athletes being able to sail under the radar with higher testosterone levels from outside sources is greater than if more stringent drug testing policies are applied. Now, it's worth noting that the fees to compete in these federations are not cheap. So if you want to compete with some of these bodybuilding organisations, you're talking a $200 membership in some cases, plus say $150 plus to participate in any of the bodybuilding shows. And typically a show might have, say, between, well, especially a world finals, say 100 to almost even 250 athletes competing within the show. So a lot of money is being made there. Obviously it'll go into covering the costs of the venues, overheads, etc, etc. But there is money available, obviously, within all of that for these organisations to carry out stricter drug testing policy if they want to, and certainly if they were pushed to by the athletes requesting it to do the other testing, they could certainly find the money there to do that sort of thing, I would say, anyway. So thanks for watching this video, folks. I hope you enjoy it, and check out Andrew Chappell Natural Bodybuilding on Facebook for some more insights into natural bodybuilding, science, nutrition, training, etc. And don't forget to check out Pro Natural Muscle on Facebook as well. Thanks. Bye.